So we briefly brought this up on your stream a couple days ago, and I wanted to bring it up here. George R. Martin is part of the writers who is suing ChatGPT because, I guess copyright infringement and all that stuff, and I guess ChatGPT is using their works to learn from. I was going to ask you about your opinion on AI and where does AI fit in the future of content creation? Because there are a lot of channels using AI, some exclusively so.
Yeah. I would say that, I mean, everybody's like, oh, what's going to happen? Are they just going to replace people? And is AI just going to be creating everything we watch? And I think eventually people are going to be able to recognize what's AI created and what's not, right? And shouldn't there be a reaction against it? Isn't this always the case? They keep saying like, oh, we're gonna do CGI and it's gonna change, and we're just gonna be watching like CGI created like movies, and for the most part we're like, I don't know, those don't really look that great and they're not very interesting. So I think it's the same with like AI kind of stuff. I think the human mind is pretty smart and recognizes stuff, and I think people think there's more potential in it than there is. It might be better seen as like a tool. Can it make me do something faster? Can it, it's like using spell check on Microsoft Word. Like that's a tool of some sort that allows you to produce something, but it's not creating it all by itself. I think it's the same thing with AI. Like we're never going to get to the point where there's not a human being like driving and regulating and shifting things around, because that's what's interesting. Stuff that's like AI by itself. I don't know if people are ever going to find that interesting. Maybe I'm wrong.
I agree with you that it could be used as a tool, and it has been so far. I don't think we're at the point where AI can take over everyone's whole like jobs. Maybe it could get there, but for the most part, as of right now, I see it more as a tool, like the CGI thing. With Luke Skywalker coming in for Mando season 2 and Book of Boba Fett, I'm pretty sure that was an actor, and then they just kind of like, deep fake AI certain things on him. And sometimes it's used very clunky. Like you mentioned Indiana Jones, the most recent film, where clearly it's a deep fake young AI version of Harrison Ford, but the voice is old Harrison Ford, and it's clearly a difference. So, I don't like. For me, the way I see it is it's a tool.
It also changes the way we view movies. I saw something fairly recently of Patton Oswalt talking about his favorite sci-fi movies, and he brought up Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And when you watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind, what's amazing is that as a viewer at the time, everyone's sitting there going, oh my gosh, they've created this spaceship and the spaceship looks incredible. How did they do that? And you're sitting there appreciating, and you're in awe looking at the spaceship, because even understanding that it's not a real spaceship, you understand that filmmakers put a lot of time and effort in creating a model and putting it on screen and making it work. And that's the big difference with CGI, is that when you look at a screen and you see something, you're not in awe of it anymore. There's no awe to it.
That's a very good point. I'm reminded of that. It's this picture. I'm sure you've seen it 1,000 times. It's old school George Lucas from like the 80s, and he's like standing in front of like all these practical models for all the ships, the second Death Star in the background. Like, you're right. Like once you see stuff like that, you're in awe. Like how they do it.
When you look at those models, you're in awe, because you're like, because that's part of the condition, is that you're just like, well, I know my own physical capabilities, and I know the art that I can create. And some incredible artist like spent all of this time, like with talent and time and resources and coordination, to create these incredible models. And just looking at those models is awe-inspiring. And it's a similar awe-inspiring like idea to the people in the story who are like, oh my gosh, like that battle station, that took so many hours of people crafting it and putting it together. And a copy paste with a CGI is just there's nothing. There's no awe. You know, I'm looking at water. I'm looking at mud. There's nothing impressive about that. And so it's the same sort of things are going to be happening with writing and with acting and anything else. Is because we look at something. See, this is the thing, is like when people they want to do things efficiently, but they're forgetting that like the reason we like stuff is because we appreciate how much time and effort went into it. So the minute you take away the time and effort, we're no longer appreciating it. You've obviously been to a play in your life, right?
Yes.
One of the things when you like watch a play is you're like, wow, there's a real person in front of me who has remembered all of those lines. And they're acting and they're crying in front of me and they're doing all of these things in front of me. You know? Live. There's no cuts. There's no redos. They spent a lot of time practicing a craft and they're now showing that craft in front of me and I appreciate it. You know? And that's a big part of entertainment. A big part of entertainment is appreciating the craft and the hard work. And the minute you take away the hard work, the viewer is bored. There is just nothing like why. Why would I care about that?
It's going to be interesting to see how this gets going in the future, because at the end of the day, writers, because the WGA strike, writers can still use the AI as a tool. Actors, how do you do that? It's either you don't use it or use it and you replace the actors, right? So
yeah,
we'll see where Hollywood is in like 5 to 10 years, because the technology is only going to get better. Because right now, the new technology is, and you've heard it, I've played it on your stream. Our friend Blightus, he has used it in one of his videos recently. The AI voice thing is getting better and better.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where I can't tell whether or not the YouTuber I'm listening to, that's a fake voice or not. One of my favorite new YouTube channels to watch, this is so stupid, but one of my favorite new YouTube channels to watch is the this movies recaps channel, where it's completely used by Amazon AI. The YouTube channel is called Movie Recaps. Story recaps here. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about blah, 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 blah. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. That guy, that's not a real person. That is a AI doing that. And it sounds nice. And it almost sounds like a person. You can even fall asleep to the voice. But it's getting better, and it's only going to get better. Remember when we tried doing a deep fake voice AI thing of you and me? And it couldn't quite get you? Yeah. But it got George.
Right. Yeah. But also, like, at what point, at some point, you're just, like, even if they get it, even let's say they get it perfectly, like no one's gonna even like care about it, because now it doesn't matter. Now they're gonna be like, oh, I don't want to hear it from an AI voice. I want to hear it from somebody different.
But how can you tell the difference? How can you tell?
Then I mean, you would look for something else. You would change your criteria on what's going to amaze you. I don't know. It just doesn't. This, like, people like entertainment because it's impressive. If it ceases to impress them, it ceases to entertain them.
I see where you're coming from.
And our standards get higher and higher every time, you know.
I think mine and your standards get higher, but and this is something I've started to notice, especially in the gaming world. Growing up as a kid, you know, when you would buy a game, you get the whole game. There wouldn't be any bullshit updates or whatever the fuck, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I noticed my roommate, her cousin, he was talking to me about, like, this one game he got. And I know the game. And there's a lot of updates, and it's kind of buggy, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking to him like, yeah, doesn't that kind of annoy you, though? Like, the full game is not available at launch. He doesn't really care, because that's all he's ever known, because he's a young guy. That's all he's ever known. He wasn't there for when we bought, like, you know, Halo 1 or Super Mario World back in the day, where that was the full, complete game. There were no expansions, no DLC. He's only ever known DLC. To bring this back around, you and I will always look for new things to impress us, but the new generation, once they grow up with this, that's all they ever know. Will they really care? Because they'll be the new people watching.
Yeah, no, it's just part of the human condition. Like watching a Rube Goldberg machine. Okay, there's nothing really fundamentally impressive about a Rube Goldberg machine. It's just some stuff hitting some stuff. However, it's impressive that somebody set that up and built it, and you're sitting there entranced. You're entranced by the whole thing going because you know somebody spent the time to painstakingly put that thing together. And this, and it just goes with everything. Like human desires and human wants, like keep rising and rising, and that's what we'll be looking for.